Well, welcome to the City of Brooks regular council meeting of April 27th. We'll call the meeting to order at 4:30. And you have the agenda in front of you. Are there any additions or deletions?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, nothing from administration.
Okay, Councillor Johnson?
Through the chair to Mr. Mayor, I would like to move that item number 9B be moved to 7A.
Okay, thank you very much. 9B, personnel moved to 7A. Okay, are there any other changes? Seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Regner that the agenda be adopted as amended. All those in favor? Carried. You have the minutes of regular council meeting, April 13th. Are there any questions on the minutes? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Phillipson that the minutes from the regular council meeting held April 13th, 2026 be approved. All those in favor? Carried. No business arising out of the minutes. So we'll move into delegations, and the first delegation is the Brooks and District Health Foundation update. Ms. DeClercq, you are up.
Big one. Okay. Thank you very much. As always, we appreciate the chance to come and present on behalf of the Health Foundation and give you, the community, an update on what's happening. We've been very busy, and it's nice to see a whole lot of new faces on City Council. And we will, at the end, I'll ask if anybody has any questions regarding what our role is in the community. We'll clarify that. So I'll start with just giving a general overview. We have a new administrator at the Health Foundation. Her name is Debbie Axelson. So she's working 3 days a week at the foundation office and sharing what our role is in the community with the businesses and our community and the patients, not guests, at the hospital. Projects that we're working on currently, we have a number of projects underway. We're upgrading the last two palliative care rooms in Unit A, which is the existing wing. It's the rooms at the north end in Unit A, where most patients are admitted. We had a generous donation by Reinhold and Marie Schuett to start that campaign of $50,000, and it's a $110,000 project. So Smile Cookie campaign that's currently underway, we're hoping to raise $30,000, and those funds will go to this project as well. Then we are also in the fall, we're going to have a fall gala, and we're updating it's not neonic, but it is the maternity wing. There is an emergency resuscitation room for infants, and so we are working with our fall gala to raise funds for that project to enhance the maternity wing in our hospital. So that is scheduled for September 26th. It's the 30th anniversary of the Brooks and District Health Foundation. This year we were incorporated in the March of 1996. And since that time, the community has invested close to $8 million into the hospital. And when I say the community, it's businesses, organizations, individuals, kids doing fundraisers, all those things. So our community should be very proud of that accomplishment. We're keeping our patients, our loved ones, close to home when they need care, and that's our ultimate goal. So another project we have underway is the emergency department family room. There's a little broom closet is what it looks like, or it was a storage room, but we are upgrading that so that families in need, when there's a call for an emergency, there's a place that families can gather that is close to the ER, right? It's just down the hall when you turn to go to x-rays. Everybody in this room, I'm sure, has been in the Brooks Hospital at some point. So we're upgrading that thanks in part to the Eric Hawk Pediatric Fund and also the Brooks Kinsman Club. So that project will be taking place soon. The chapel room, because of our demographics in our community. We are upgrading that room as well. Just a quick update, or a quick facelift, if you will, but making it more of a non-denomination, or finding that balance to serve our community for patients that are admitted and their families. Like, so if you have a loved one that's in palliative care, there's a room that the family can meet. It's a larger room than the ED family room. So we're going to spruce that room up as well. That's one of our projects. We continue to invest in equipment. That's an ongoing thing. We found that the morale in our hospital, because of the Health Foundation's role that we play, which is we are the community. The Health Foundation is a representation of our community. So we represent all the donors, and we are the stewards of the money that's donated. So our role, or our goal, is to keep continuing to enhance local care, local health care, invest in the much needed equipment and facility upgrades that we can do to make patient, family, and the professionals' lives much easier at the hospital. So we also are pleased to see that our Attraction, Integration, and Recruitment Committee has got our feet on the ground, and I haven't been at the meetings for the last little while due to some other commitments, but we're very pleased to see how that committee has come together, and it's very positive. The reactions that, or the interaction in this committee is actually a collaborated movement of organizations, which helps immensely. There's not little segregated groups doing things. We have a more focused group doing things. So with that, we have heard so far we've secured 3 new doctors, and there's other potentials looking. So Lisa represents the city. I represent the Health Foundation along with Terry Troidel. Mohammed, you were on with Brooks. Oh,
County
oh.
Immigration Services.
Yeah, Brooks County Integration Services. Sorry, my bad. Like I said, Smile Cookie Campaign is running April 27th to May 3rd. I've brought you cookies to sample them. They're very good. They freeze very well. I've left them in my freezer for up to 8 months and crack little pieces off. So just keep that in mind. They're good for brandings and picnics, baseball games, all those kind of things. Our goal, again, is to raise $30,000. We've raised 26 last year, so we're pretty optimistic we can do 30 this year. So upcoming events, June we have the Eric Hawk Pediatric Fund online auction, which is, this will be the 4th year, and it's in memory of Eric Hawk, who passed away, and the legacy fund that was created through the Health Foundation. So that will go the week of June 8th to the 13th. Then in August, we have Eric Hawk Pediatric Fund Golf Tournament in Rolling Hills. It's a huge success. It's for parents and their kids to participate, and it's quite the day. And then September 26th, we have our gala. We're actively recruiting trustees, so to keep the momentum that we have. But again, going back to the staff and stuff and the morale, everything we're doing as a community is very much appreciated. That gala was a major boost last year. That we had out at Castles, our first gala. It was incredible to see how they felt a part of our community with that. That was the comment we got back. They felt like part of our community because they were like, where all you cool people hang out? They found us. No, just kidding. They found all the people that, don't typically go to the hospital, right? So they found a new group of friends and associates and stuff. So they were very, very grateful for that. And I know a number of the city council was there. So thank you all. And I'd just like to ask if there's some new faces on the board, if everybody understands what our role is in the community.
Does anyone have any questions or regarding that at all, what their role is in the community? But anyways, I don't see anybody, but I want to thank you very much for coming in and explaining everything that's going on within the Health Foundation. And I think it's important that we always know what is happening there. And I guess part of that is I will be down at Tim Hortons North End.
Selling cookies.
We're selling cookies or doing whatever they're going to assign me to do. So I'm hoping they're not assigning me to eat them all. But anyways, I'm sure I'll be buying a lot of them for staff here as well. But thank you very much. So unless it, oh, Anne-Marie?
Hi, Diane.
Hi.
You talked about trustees. How many do you have? How many more do you need?
We currently have 8, and we like to keep it between 8 and 12. So it varies, but one of our trustees had to step back due to medical, personal things. So we are actively recruiting. So it's nice to have a different, different people from different roles in the community be on our board. We were fortunate when I first started on the foundation 10 years ago, we had a representative from the city and we had one from the county. I did not understand that. I thought at the time that it was one of your committees that you had to be on, but I've come to learn that that's not the case. But we are a different type of organization than most other local community organizations because of the role we play. We're not a special interest group, if you will. We're working for the greater good of the community. So.
Councillor Idris?
Thank you. I was listing those things that you said, and there is a lot of work that being done, so thank you very much for that. I remember when we talked about your budgets sometime, I think, around shared services, we talked about the city channeling some money that we are using towards health so that you also are able to get some matching funds. Did that work? How is that going? Is the plan to continue with that?
Yes, thank you for that. Yes, so the foundation gets a grant based on how much money we raise. So we have, it's an operating grant, so it covers our admin and those kind of things, because we dedicate, our motto is, or our mandate is, that 100% of the donated dollars goes into the hospital. So we use interest and this operating grant to cover admin costs. So we have been up, due to the fundraising efforts over the last 4 years, we've gone up to the next level. So we get a $48,000 operating grant from, and it used to be $17,000. So in the last couple of years, we've been very close to $1 million each year. So.
Councillor Johnson?
Thank you. Hi, Diane.
Hi.
I thought I would just help you toot your own horn a little, because I was at that fundraiser last year. Do you want to tell everybody how much you raised and what you put it towards, first of all?
Yeah, I guess. We raised $86,000, and those funds went to our sim lab. Sorry, I should have given you an update on the sim lab, which is under construction, and we're continuing to encourage them to get it done sooner rather than later. So we're looking for their latest update. But yes, we were able to do that thanks to our community.
Do you want to tell them what a sim lab is? Just
Oh yeah, right. I guess there's a lot of people that may not know. So if you visualize a simulation for like an airplane, it teaches you how to fly the plane. Basically, we are building an on-site simulation lab, which allows our teams to undergo training locally and on-site at their convenience, if you will. We have a number of the doctors that are trained to train, so it will be a huge asset to our site. And the key thing with that is that in attraction and retention, because we are a first point of contact hospital, usually what happens is people in an emergency go to the Brooks Hospital, they're assessed whether they stay there or move on. That depends on the situation. But with the simulation lab, our staff currently has to be able to fill many roles, I guess, and the simulation lab will help build their confidence and thus help with attraction and retention.
I just wanted to make sure everybody understood
Thank you.
that you guys are doing a lot
Yeah.
with what you have, and it's great to see that there's a lot of stuff moving in that hospital.
Yeah, well, we are fortunate we have a physician on our board as well, and that's a relationship we've built over the last number of years, which is, we always have a representative from their team on our team, so.
Councillor Regner?
I just wanted to, I guess, more for our people. The city advertise their events on our Facebook page. Is that something we could look at doing to help out?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we can.
Okay, great, thank you. And we are currently going through a process of getting new social media management because with 8 people, it's a lot of work. So we're currently going to outsource that, so. Yeah. Okay, if there's no other questions.
Yeah, again, thank you very much.
Oh, and if anybody would like to decorate cookies, it's kind of fun. And you can make all kinds of nice faces on them, just saying.
We'll find out how I do.
Okay, thank you very much for letting us come and give you an update.
Okay, thanks. So it's been moved by Councillor Johnson that the Brooks and District Health Foundation update be accepted as information. All those in favor? Carried. Item number B, Brooks Housing Society update. Mr. Radke, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. So, yeah, just on behalf of the Brooks Housing Society, we'd just like to give you a little bit of an update on the society. Here with Dwayne Perkins, one of our directors, our treasurer. And so we've got some slides here today, but there's a lot of slides, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on them. And I think we'll go through them. But so it's just some background information on the society and on our operations, just to give you a little more background. We recognize some new councillors may not be familiar with Brooks Housing Society and how we operate and what we do. So just an opportunity to come here and provide that right now. So we say who, do you need that? No. Okay, sorry. So who are we and what are we? We are a housing society that offers strictly affordable rentals for lower income tenants. We follow the Government of Alberta income threshold levels, and that's on slide 11. Okay, sorry. Anyhow, and you can read that in your agenda package as well. These income threshold levels are adjusted or reviewed annually by the provincial government. We're not bound to follow those threshold levels, but when we earlier had received funding from the province, then we were bound to follow those levels, but now we use those as guides. And so depending on your income level, if you have an income below rated for 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom, you're eligible to apply to live in our housing. And our current rental rates are on slide 19. You can look at that. We have 86 units right now that we manage, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. And how we do this, I feel, and I think the board feels, we're very proud of our what we call a sustainable business model on our operating model. We've paid out our mortgages from earlier on. We're debt-free. We have a full-time property manager. We manage our capital asset replacement very well. We're very proud of the quality and appearance of our properties. We've paid full property tax up until this year. So this past year, that was about $96,000. That's a big chunk of our annual operating budget, and so we appreciate the opportunity not to have to pay that in the coming year, so thank you. I don't know what you do in terms of finding the $95,000 elsewhere, but that's not our problem from this year forward. We have an operating budget of about $900,000. We've built a small capital reserve fund of close to $450,000. And just a few pictures here to show you and you've probably seen them again in your package, but just to give you an idea of where we're located and what our facilities look like. We want to say a big thank you to the city of Brooks. We say we have what we call a great business model once we're operating. But to get operating, we really appreciate the support from the city in terms of provision of land. Our organization, the city helped the organization form in 2002. The city provided land to build our Phase 1 in 2005. There's 39 units. And Phase 2 again provided land to build 48 units in 2009. We received land to build and manage a playground, again, compliments of the city. We've had the fortunate to have a representative from the city on our board most of the time, and that's great for advice, great for guidance and information that's critical to us. We've been invited to participate in the City of Brooks affordable housing study that was completed. And now we're again in a fortunate position to receive land from the city for future expansion. So who do we serve? John 20 and so on. Again, details are in the slides, but we house just a little over 250 individuals in our property. We track the demographics on our tenants, where their income, where they're employed, the ages, the makeup of the family, languages spoken. So again, there's a lot of information there. And so we have large waiting lists for all bedroom sizes, anywhere from 40 to 80 people on the waiting list for those different size units. So we thought, well, we're doing okay business-wise, paying our bills. There's a great demand. What should we do? And so we are in the stages of planning to expand. And we're planning to build 24 3-bedroom 8-plexes. That'll cost approximately $7 million. We're looking to access Government of Alberta funding, CMHC funding, working towards it. We know we'll have to get a small mortgage, whatever size that'll be. And we're looking towards fundraising about $1 million. This is a new venture for us. We've never been involved in fundraising. We just applied for charitable status last fall. And so we're in the process of doing that. And we hope to have our funding in place by early fall and be able to take advantage of application windows open for provincial funding at that time, and then follow up with CMHC funding and mortgage funding. So that's just a really quick review or outline of who we are and what we're doing, and I welcome any questions.
Okay, is there anyone with questions? Councillor Falkenberg.
Hello. I'm curious about funding. So how are you funded? Is it all basically renters pay for what it costs you to run the facilities, or do you have corporate donations, that kind of thing?
We're a landlord and we operate strictly on our rental income,
Okay.
strictly.
The main reason I ask is, like, I see a huge number, like employment income from JBS, 56%. It just seems really high from one employer. Obviously, JBS is a huge employer here in town. It just seems to be using low-income housing. It just seems odd.
Yeah, that's a good point. And actually, our December statistics are even higher in terms of those tenants who are dependent on income from jobs related to JBS. We are in the process of working to ask JBS for support, but we don't distinguish on where they work and where they come from, as long as they meet the threshold level. But it's interesting, I guess also the point is, we feel we do serve quite a role in terms of low-income people in the community. we believe possibly if they couldn't find suitable low-income housing, they may not stay in the community either, whether they're employed or not. So anyhow, to answer that specific question about JBS, it is what it is.
Yeah. I was going to ask something else, but forgot. But that was great. Thank you.
Councillor Idris?
Just to clarify, all the people who work in JBS that are in your units make lower than the provincial threshold that you guys have to guide your work, right?
Absolutely. And I guess that brings up another point is sometimes we can describe ourselves as a transitional housing body as people, as their income increases and up above the threshold level, we ask them, they have to leave. But while they're there as tenants, there's the hard side of operating a rental facility and collecting rent and maintaining the facility and so on. But there's also another aspect of educating the tenants. Some of the tenants there are first-time renters. Some of the tenants there are new to the culture of being a tenant and a renter. So we do a lot of soft kind of educating in terms of being a responsible tenant. It also helps them build up a reference. It helps them work on their budgets. But no, absolutely at a certain income level, they have to move on.
Councillor Johnson?
Thank you. Reg, you mentioned in your statement that you had usually 40 to 80 people on your wait list.
For each different size unit.
Right. So how long is the normal wait time on that wait list? If you can give us an average?
Maybe I'm not sure I'm the right person to answer that, but it can extend for 3 months or more.
I think I'll let Councillor Nesbitt answer.
So through the chair to Mr. Radke and to fellow councillor, it actually, some of our waiting lists, the people are on there for over a year. And what we do when an apartment comes open, then we start at the oldest application and we work our way through. Sometimes we talk to them, they want to stay on that waiting list, so that's how they're there that long. And they will stay there until they can come into our complex. We don't very often see people leave because it is a well-maintained facility. And thanks to the board for the direction that they provide.
And I'm probably remiss, but not in terms of protocol, however, but Mara Nesbitt is our full-time property manager. And so, and our property manager hires other contractors and tradespeople and whatever's required, but we have one employee and we're very happy with the work that's being done there.
Any other questions? Anyway, we want to thank you, Mr. Radke, and your board for everything that goes on within the housing society. And we look forward to that new facility being built quicker than later. So hopefully you can raise that $1 million from the community and get that ball rolling. So thank you again.
Thank you, and thank you for your time.
So it's been moved by Councillor Falkenberg that the Brooks Housing Society update be accepted as information. All those in favor? Carried. We have correspondence and information. We have update from councillor conferences and or workshops, councillor committee monthly report. Councillor Falkenberg's report was there. And we also have a report from the Brooks Public Library. And notes we have from Old Man River Regional Services Corporation for the Board of Directors minutes from December the 4th. And we have the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board minutes from March 25th, 2026. And it's been moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the following items of correspondence be received as information: the update, the conferences and or workshops, the committee report from Councillor Falkenberg, the Brooks Public Library statistics, and number B, the Old Man River Regional Services Corporation Board of Directors minutes of December the 4th, 2025, and the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks Board minutes, March 25th, 26th. Are there any questions? Go ahead.
Can I just make a comment that I was absolutely astounded at the foot traffic that comes into that
Yeah.
library? I just wanted to put that out there.
There's a lot of people that use the library.
It's amazing.
Any other questions or comments? So it's been moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the following items be received as information. All those in favor? Carried. Okay, the next item, we have moved 9B, personnel, up to 7, and that is an announcement. And this past Friday, we had a special council meeting where we were interviewing prospective candidates for the position of CAO. And unfortunately, now that we've chosen one, our interim CAO will probably soon be leaving us, which is unfortunate. But in that, and we chose a candidate, and it has been moved by Councillor Johnson that Michael Derricott be appointed as the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Brooks, effective May the 19th, 2026. Any comments or further comments, or seeing none? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. The next item we have will be the 2025 financial statements. And what we will hear from is our controller, Millard Rosales. So if he would come up. This will be your first time, I think, talking to us, isn't it? Yes. So we better have you introduce yourself a little bit and tell us what and where you've been in the past.
Absolutely. Through the chair to mayor and council, my name is Millard. Before coming to the city of Brooks, I used to work as a finance manager for a First Nation community up in Saskatchewan, and prior to that, I was an accountant for the city of Cold Lake. Thank you. And Brian will be...
Yeah, we'll let Brian, Director Leibel, speak as well. And plus you have somebody else on there as well, don't you?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So yes, I'm the Director of Corporate Services, as you know, and we've got our auditor online as well, Dan Bosters from KPMG. So I was just going to speak a little bit at the front and then let Millard get into some of the details, and hopefully Dan Bosters can speak to the audit report after that. So I'd just like to start by expressing sincere appreciation to the external audit team for their professionalism, thoroughness, and independent oversight throughout the audit process. The work provides council and the public with confidence in the reliability of the city's financial reporting. I'd also like to recognize the City of Brooks finance team for their dedication, attention to detail, and collaboration throughout the year, especially our new controller, Millard Rosales, for his work with the year-end and financial statements. These statements reflect not only the city's financial results for the year, but also the ongoing commitment to sound financial stewardship, accountability, and transparency in managing public resources in alignment with council's strategic priorities. Overall, the City of Brooks delivers strong financial performance in 2025, characterized by revenue growth exceeding both 2024 actuals and budget, controlled expenditure growth related to service demands, and improved net financial asset position. The city recorded a significant improvement in operating surplus compared to 2024, driven primarily by higher source revenues and additional grant funding. Revenue growth outpaced expenditure growth, reflecting effective financial management by the city's directors and interim CAO amid rising service demands and inflationary pressures. The city's overall financial position strengthened during the year, with net financial assets increasing by $1.5 million. That's $1,501,497. This improvement was achieved through the repayment of financial liabilities, including amounts owing to vendors and effective utilization of grant funding. As a result, the city ended the year in a stronger financial position than in the prior year, reinforcing the city's capacity to address future needs. These financial outcomes also support the City of Brooks 2026 through 2029 strategic plan, which is structured around 3 core pillars: community building, infrastructure, and sustainability. Responsible financial management enables continued investment in community building initiatives that encourage shopping local, foster community involvement, and promote diversity and inclusion. At the same time, funding allocations towards roads, water services, and other core assets reflect Council's focus on aging infrastructure replacement, ensuring reliability and service continuity. Improved financial flexibility and prudent use of grants also contribute to the city's broader sustainability goals, supporting long-term resilience and responsible growth. So with that, I'll hand it back to Millard to speak to some of the individual financial statements.
Thank you, Brian. Through the chair to Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity to allow me to present today. The city is required under the Municipal Government Act, Section 276, to prepare the annual financial statements in accordance with the Canadian Public Sector Accounting Standards. Today, I'll be presenting the 2025 consolidated financial statements, and administration is recommending that the council accept the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2025. I'll begin with the statement of financial position as at December 31st, 2025. That would be on page 62 of the council meeting package. One of the most important figures on this statement is the net financial assets of 21.97 million. What that means that the city has sufficient financial assets to meet all of its liability at year end. In simple terms, if the city were to pay all of its liabilities or obligation, including accounts payables, deposits, employee obligation, and long-term debt, it would still have approximately 21.9 million remaining in financial assets. Moving on to the financial assets side, financial assets are primarily made up of cash, investment, and receivables. Cash and short-term investment total approximately 21.5 million. That would include in 17.1 million in cash and 4.3 million in short-term investments. Taxes and grants receivable total of 1.54 million, and that's consisting of current taxes, arrears, and an allowance for doubtful accounts. Trade and other receivables total approximately 3.7 million, mainly from trade receivables. Investment total approximately 11.1 million, including credit union shares and the investment in the Newell Regional Services Corporation. The city also holds land for resale of approximately 3.6 million. On the liability side, accounts payable and accrued liabilities are 6.15 million. Deposit liabilities are approximately 366,000. Deferred revenue total of 6.27 million, which represents funding received but not yet spent. And this is primarily related to capital and operating grants. Employee benefits obligation total of 693,000, including vacation, overtime, and sick leave. Asset retirement obligation are 3.6 million, mainly related to landfill closure and asbestos removal. Long-term debt is 2.4 million, which has decreased from prior year. It is important to highlight that the city remained in a very strong debt position. The debt limit for 2025 is approximately 52 million, and the current long-term debt is only 2.4 million. So this means the city has approximately 49 million in unused debt capacity. And that limit is calculated as 1.5 times municipal revenue in accordance with the provincial regulation. And moving on to non-financial assets, the tangible capital assets total of 127.6 million, representing infrastructure such as roads, building, and utilities. Inventory is approximately 504,000. Prepaid expenses are 114,000, with the total non-financial assets are 128.2 million. These assets are not used to pay liabilities but are essential for delivering city services. And as a result, the city accumulated surplus at end of 2025 is 150.2 million. This reflects the overall net financial and non-financial position of the city. And in summary, the statement of financial position shows that the city remains in a strong financial position with sufficient assets to meet its obligation, low debt levels, and continued investment in infrastructure. And next, I'll be moving to the statement of operation on page 63. Total revenue for 2025 was 34.8 million compared to 33 million in 2024. The increase is mainly driven by higher property tax revenue, increasing by over 800,000. Increased user fees and sales. This is primarily from water and sewer, increasing by approximately 1.2 million. Other revenue sources including government transfer, investment income, penalties, and other fees. Overall, actual revenue was approximately 2 million higher than budget. Total expenses for 2025 were approximately 36.8 million, an increase of about 1.1 million compared to 2024. The variance between actual expenses and budget is largely due to amortization, which is not fully reflected in the budget. Additional detail on expenses by type is available in the financial statement, Schedule 3. And from an operating perspective, the city reported a deficit of 2 million before capital funding. However, after including capital government transfers, the city reported a final surplus of 1.19 million. And looking at the statement of cash flow on page 65, the city started the year with 15.8 million in cash, generated positive cash flow from operations, and ended with the year with 17.1 million in cash. The increase is mainly due to operating results and timing of capital activities. And in summary, the city has net financial assets of, once again, 21.97 million, reported an annual surplus of 1.19 million, maintains a strong cash balances, and continues to operate with low debt levels. Overall, the City of Brooks remains in a strong and stable financial position. And does anybody have any question before KPMG provides their audit opinion?
Okay, are there any questions on the financial numbers? Councillor Regner?
Thank you for the report. Lately, the city's been selling a lot of property. So the land held for resale, I'm just wondering where that number of roughly 3.1 again, is that just like commercial, residential? Because the commercial properties, we have 3.1 million on College Drive, but we also have about 4.5 million on Irrigation Street in the industrial park. So is that represented, because that's not even residential yet, is that represented somewhere else in here?
Thank you for the question. So there is a difference between the market value and the book value of a lot of those lands. So the book value reflective of our financial statements is 3.06, and the values of the land themselves will hopefully be a lot higher when we go to sell them. So thank you for the question.
Councillor Nesbitt?
So through the chair to Director Libo. So under the transportation services, could you give us a little bit of indication as, like you see that in 2025, the amount is 6,190,000. Previous was 5,704. Do you see that there under the expenses total? And now we've dropped it in our budget down to approximately 3,216,000. Can you give a little bit of background, if you can, on that line? Because it's adjusting.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you for the question. So it was a point we wanted to touch on and haven't touched on yet, so I'm glad you brought the question up. So when we budget without amortization. Amortization is amount that we don't tax residents for, and so that's the main reason why we don't include it in our budgets. So that difference between the actual and the budget is primarily due to the amortization number. There was some additional expenses within that transportation area. I believe there's a 7th Street Railway crossing, as well as paving for Sunny Lee, and a few other smaller items that did cause the variance. But the main variance is related to amortization. Across all departments, the amortization for the year is $6.5 million. So it'll give you a bit of an idea when you look at departments like roads or parks, where those variances are.
Thank you very much for that clarification.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none?
Nope.
You can, you got a question?
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Regner.
Sorry to go back to the land numbers. To clarify, so I understand this, when we say we have we'll say $3.1 million, but if you add up all our sales price tags, we're sitting, well, in excess of about $9.5 million. The difference in there is our cost. Like, that's a huge difference. Please explain why the numbers are that different.
Yeah, I think maybe what we'll need to do is maybe look at that item separately. So we can bring that back to council, our land inventory, unless one of my colleagues is able to speak to it, to go through it in a bit more detail and answer those questions.
Interim CEO Legort.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the difference basically is the land's held at the development cost, and then it's sold at market value. So when it was developed, say it cost us $2 million, it may be worth $3 million a day, but it is carried on your financial statements as $2 million, because that's what it's valued at to the city until such time as it's sold. But as our director said, he'll bring information back. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, were you continuing on then, Millard, or were you finished?
Through the chair to Mayor and Council, so I'm done. So the auditor, Dan from KPMG, would provide an audit opinion.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
You can hear me? Okay, perfect. So thank you for taking time out of your meeting for me to join, and thank you for allowing me to join virtually. Unfortunately, I'm on the road for several meetings today, so I do appreciate that you allowed me to join virtually. First of all, I just want to start by thanking Brian and Miller for all their assistance with the audit this year. I know sometimes that we can come in and I guess be a little bit intrusive, so to speak, with all the questions and the digging that we do to go through all our procedures for the audit. So I do want to thank them and the rest of the finance team for all their assistance with that. And thank you also to Millard for presenting a bit of a summary of those financial statements. So our responsibility as the auditor, of course, is to provide an opinion on the financial statements for the year. So hopefully in your draft package, you do have a draft of our auditor's report. It's about 3 pages long, and there's various sections to the auditor's report which do lay out what our opinion is, as well as the responsibilities of management and the responsibilities of the auditor. I date myself because when I first started auditing, the rule of thumb used to be 3 paragraphs good, 4 paragraphs bad, but now, as you can see, it's a bit more of a novel. But the important paragraph is kind of right at the beginning of the auditor's report, which is the opinion paragraph. And subject to, of course, approval by council of the financial statements and completing our discussions here today, we are prepared to offer what we call a clean opinion on the financial statements. So I'm just going to read that out here. So basically what it says is that, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly, in all material respects, the financial position of the city as at December 31st, 2025, and its results of operations, changes in net financial assets, and its cash flows for the year then ended, in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards, which is the standards that all municipalities and a lot of other public service bodies are required to report under. So again, that we're prepared to offer that clean opinion, subject to approval of the financial statements here today, and just a few other items to mention. Of course, that as auditors, we are required to maintain our independence. So we have done our due diligence with respect to that, and I can assert that we are independent of the city when it comes to our requirements as auditors. Are there any questions on the audit report?
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions on the audit report? Okay, no, we're not getting any. Thank you.
Thank you.
So is there anything else that has to be?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Mayor. So through the Mayor to Council, we just need your approval of the financial statements as well as a couple signatures on the balance sheet, and then we're good to go. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So it has been moved by Councillor Idris that Council accepts the 2025 City of Brooks Consolidated Audited Financial Statements as presented. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. We will move on to policy E-003-001, Parks and Green Spaces Maintenance, and we'll have the manager of Parks, Mr. Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor. Through the chair to the Mayor and Council, this is a request for the decision on that policy E-003-001, the Parks and Green Space Maintenance. This policy, the Parks and Green Space Maintenance policy, outlines the current practices that the Parks Department follows to ensure city parks and other areas are maintained by the Parks Department, that they are safe and appealing for residents and visitors to use and enjoy. At this time, there are no financial implications if this policy is approved as presented. Parks maintenance is budgeted for annually. However, if there are changes to priorities or to an increase in responsibilities, additional funding may be required. So at this time, administration recommends that the council approve policy E-003-001 entitled Parks and Green Space Maintenance.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Nesbitt. The council approve policy E-003-001 entitled Parks and Green Spaces Maintenance. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much. And we'll keep you right there because now we're going to discuss policy E-003-003, tree maintenance.
Again, through the chair to Mayor and Council, this is a request for a decision on policy E-003-003, tree maintenance. Approximately, we have about 4,100 trees within the city of Parks and other city-owned properties. Many trees are aging and will need to be removed as they continue to decline. The city plans for the protection and conservation of city trees and a sustainable and healthy urban forest, and also manages the removal, replacement, and the maintenance of city trees. Again, there are no financial implications at this time if this policy is approved as presented. Tree maintenance is budgeted for annually. However, if there are changes to priorities or an increase in the number of trees planted or removed, additional funding may be required. So at this time, the administration recommends that council approve policy E003-003 entitled tree maintenance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stewart. Are there any questions on the tree maintenance? Yep, go right ahead. Councillor Nesbitt.
Through the chair to Mr. Stewart. Thank you very much to you and your staff for the wonderful job that you do throughout our community to make it look as wonderful as it does. Like, we're looking forward to the flowers and the tree maintenance and everything else that you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I am looking forward to spring.
Got to get rid of the snow. Okay, any other comments? Questions? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Johnson that council approve policy E-003-003 entitled tree maintenance. All those in favor? Carried. We'll move on to policy E-004-008, street sweeping, and we have the manager of public works, Mr. Baylor.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Excuse me. Today I have a request for a decision for our street sweeping policy. Our street sweeping program runs from spring to fall, weather depending. A large part of that is our residential program, which we're hoping to fire up here May 4th, which if it quits snowing should happen. This will ensure that all the dirt, debris, garbage throughout the year doesn't end up in our storm drains and then into our water systems, causing contamination. If accepted as written right now, there's no financial implications unless there's any changes to be made. So administration is recommending to accept the policy as written. If there are any questions, feel free
If it
to
makes
ask.
you feel any better, the weather says it's going up to plus 20, so we better not see any more snow.
It's a bit of a roller coaster.
Any questions? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. Just a quick question, Todd. When we were talking about this in committee, we were talking about maybe ticketing cars that were not off the street on the day that their area was supposed to be done.
Yeah,
Did we
that's
get
correct.
anywhere with that?
Yeah, we've ordered some changes to the signage. And as part of our regular bylaws, that will be enforced this year.
So there will be notice to residents if we're in their area doing street sweeping and they're not off the road, they will be ticketed and it's notified on the signage?
Yeah, as part of the residential program, we do post signs 24 hours in advance. And with the new decals that we're going to be putting on there, there is mention that vehicles must be moved or there will be fines. So those are supposed to be ready. Bit of a short timeline, but I think we'll have that done without any issues.
Thanks, Todd.
And the fine being how much?
I believe it's $57.
Okay, so if everybody would have their cars off the street to avoid a $57 fine?
That would be
That
appreciated.
would be appreciated, right?
Yep.
Okay. Any other? Councillor Phillipson.
Just to add to that, if people don't move their cars, your crew has to come back to do it again. So there is a cost involved, and I think it's okay to ticket the $57.
Yeah, well, traditionally, we don't come back to the area once it's finished, unless there's other things going on in the area. Like, we do go back and cover the city from time to time, depending on weather conditions, like if there's spring storms or whatever. So as part of the residential program, we don't necessarily go back, but we may attend to the area at some point in the future throughout the year. But as a rule, yeah, we don't come back to it as part of our program.
Thank you very much. Councillor Regner.
I believe to ticket, it's a good thing for the community. Nobody likes to see in front of their house because their neighbor or somebody else parked there. So the thing I would ask of Director Shantz is for our CPOs to definitely get on that and make that a priority during the residential part this year to find people to let them know that that's unacceptable to stay on the street when they've been asked to move.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or statements? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Regner that the council approve policy E-004-008 entitled Street Sweeping. All those in favor? Carried. We'll move on to the 2026 Street Improvement Program additional projects, and that will be Director of Public Works, Mr. Sari.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. The city of Brooks had recently tendered the 2026 street improvement program. The lowest tender was $956,000 and was awarded to Brooks Asphalt and Aggregate. Their funds remaining in the street improvement budget are, after engineering, is $948,000. City staff are proposing 2 more sites to be added to the 2026 street improvement program. They are a Young Road overlay from Viner Road to Silver Sage Road, and completing a transportation study engineering services. This program is to be funded by the remaining 2026 street improvement program funds. The Young Road project aligns with upgrading aging and old infrastructure, while the transportation study identifies infrastructure needs. Staff recommends that council approve the addition of the Young Road overlay and the transportation study to be funded from the remaining $948,000 of the 2026 street improvement program budget.
Thank you, Director Sari. Questions? Councillor Johnson.
Hi, good evening, Dawn. I have a question because maybe I'm going to sound like I'm picking on my own stuff. With Young Road, it's a relatively new paving compared to some other streets in Brooks. Specifically where I'm looking at is Aqueduct Drive that gets pounded out by large vehicles, and of course Industrial Road. What are the plans for those more industrialized roads in town? The reason I ask is I've put in lots of Newell Connect complaints about Aqueduct, and I was told that it just keeps getting delayed.
This road was identified in our transportation master plan by the engineering firm that did that. It ranks as a road that requires an overlay before the surface gets so bad that we lose the base on it. Aqueduct Drive may have its humps and bumps, but the surface is still sound and is shedding water, so that it is on the list, but the list is very long.
Tell that to the undercarriage of my vehicle.
Thank you very much. Councillor Nesbitt.
Through the chair to Director Sari. So now I noticed that the project is going to cost $956,155, and our remaining SIP program budget is $948,000. So the difference you're going to squeak out of your budget? Your current other budget? Am I wrong there? I'm wrong. Oh, sorry. Maybe that.
Interim CEO Legore.
To you, Mr. Mayor, the $948,000 are funds that are available within the street improvement program that the director is asking to have allocated to 2 other projects. Thank you.
But our tender's $956. No, it's after. Oh, after. The remaining funds. Oh, okay. Okay.
Councillor Regner.
I'll sort that out in my head. Thank you.
So the citizens don't, they're aware. We have a fund for potholes, correct? I think the one year I saw 152,000 or something like that.
That's right, and that was increased. So I believe it's up to 176 for potholes.
So is there potholes in the community that are like every year they seem to be a problem that we could allocate some extra funds to make them better, or put a base in, or so they're not a constant problem?
Yeah, if the potholes are repaired correctly, then they don't really come back year after year. It's if they're not done, if they're not done properly, then they will reoccur each year. The purpose of the street improvement monies is to do a larger project. So if you had a road that was right full of potholes, you would want to spend your street improvement money and mill it all out and put a new overlay on. And that is what we're proposing with Young Road. We do spend quite a lot of money in filling potholes on that road each year.
Okay, but in general, we have increased our budget on potholes, so we should be covered.
Yes, we'll be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Idris.
So the rejected application, do you know why is it rejected first? The regional study, the grant, did they say why did they reject it?
No, they just said there was a large amount of interest and not enough funds.
Okay. My other question around the study, does the study cover things in some locations outside the city of Brooks?
No, the city does not. However, the county had indicated previously when we applied for the grant that they would like to piggyback on this study and add some work themselves to it outside the city.
Okay, so the items of the study that we are going to continue with are all within the city now?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Idris that council approve the addition of the Young Road overlay and the transportation study to be funded from the remaining $948 or $948,229 of the 2026 Street Improvement Program budget. All those in favor? Carried. At a previous council meeting, there was a notice of motion to amend policy C-004-002, aquatic attire. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. Through the chair. My fellow councillors, constituents, and staff, on March 9th, 2026, this council voted on an aquatic attire policy based on long-standing complaints we heard from residents of the city and patrons at our pool. We heard them, we listened to their complaints, and we took steps to rectify this situation by asking staff to develop a pool attire policy. Even after passing the policy on March 9th, the complaints did not stop. In our policy, we stated in Guideline 3C, T-shirts and shorts of swim-appropriate materials may be worn. My understanding during discussions and at council and committee was swim-appropriate materials meant just that. Swimsuit materials are a polyester blend, usually with a spandex, not cotton. I have since found out that not everyone has the same understanding of swim-appropriate materials as I do. We were still allowing cotton t-shirts, cotton shorts, and cotton leggings into the pool. The key reasons why I'm making this motion is cotton is proven to create filter damage. Cotton sheds lint, which can overwhelm and clog filtration systems, skimmers, and drains. Water contamination and hygiene. Cotton fibers can carry bacteria, viruses, detergents, and body oils, which can lead to high bacteria levels and lower water quality. Safety and performance. Wet cotton absorbs water, making it heavy, limiting movement, increasing drag, and posing a drowning risk. Chemical imbalance. Cotton can release detergents and absorb chlorine, causing cloudy water and imbalanced, less sanitary conditions. And dye transfer. Street clothing, especially denim, may not be color fast, causing dyes to bleed into the water. Therefore, I would like to make the following motion to council. I would like to make a motion to amend our aquatic attire policy. Maybe not ban is not the word, but I think that at least we need to have a conversation that cotton should not be worn in our pool. It's not considered swim appropriate materials, and make decisive action to direct staff to ensure that cotton is not going into the pool. So I believe that the wording on this does not in any way infringe on any religious protections, nor in any way infringes on anyone's enjoyment of our swimming pool. Just like if I wanted to utilize our ice rinks, I would be required to wear ice skates and a helmet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. Questions? We have Councillor Falkenberg.
So, Mr. Mayor, you should have the motion on the floor before discussion. Thank you.
Okay. So the motion is been moved by Councillor Johnson that policy C-004-002 aquatic attire policy be amended to have a ban on cotton materials being worn in the pool and hot tub facilities, with the exception of religious headwear such as hijabs, dastar, pagri, or yarmulke. Okay? What's that? Okay, all the question, yeah, now we have the question.
So I have a problem with this amendment or this motion. Mostly, not that I'm against the reason for it, but I feel that it makes it too messy. So this policy needs to be clean, straightforward, easily understood. I don't want to see a list of materials not allowed in the pool. I would prefer that the definition of swimwear, appropriate swimwear means, it currently states appropriate swimwear means attire designed for swimming and acceptable within a Canadian public family-oriented aquatic setting. I would prefer it say appropriate swimwear means attire designed for swimming, made of materials designed for swimming. This will then include cotton is not designed for swimming, wool is not designed for swimming, silk is not designed for swimming, materials designed for swimming only. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Phillipson.
I like the policy the way it is. I think it covers everything. Our issue is enforcement. We don't need to change the policy because now it's cotton, and like Chad says, next week it's wool. Is it 80% cotton? Do we allow that if it has 20% polyester? And just as an example. So I like the policy the way it is. We just need to enforce it.
Okay, any other? Councillor Johnson?
To my fellow councillors, I fully agree that banning one particular type of material is probably not the best way to do this, but I think we needed to really shed some light on how it's not being properly enforced. There is confusion around the policy, I think, with administration on how it's to be enforced, and that's what I think the struggle is. I would not mind changing or amending the policy to what Chad mentioned, but I think something needs to be done so everybody is very clear on the rules and the expectations of the pool.
Councillor Regner?
I see, to Councillor Falkenberg's point, that yes, to say that we need something that's, kind of generic that everybody understands, and then again, enforcement. The fact that we don't have had very little enforcement and we're starting to pinpoint different clothing, to Councillor Phillipson's thing of trying to get a list, we don't need that. We just need enforcement. I fail to understand, I don't know about the rest of the councillors, but I know I've received emails and photographs of non-compliant items, and when you hear that, things are going into the pool that staff should know aren't allowed, and we keep going back to revisit it again and again and again, and it's just a frustration. The pool loses, and our CFO can attest to this, our pool loses over $900,000 every year. And to have a loss and then the frustration of the community, I have several people tell me that they will not go to the Brooks swimming pool any longer. We have an amazing facility. And if it means enforcement to the point of, I don't want to be checking people's clothing, what it's made out of, but swim appropriate attire. Our staff should be educated in that. We should be selling items at the counter for the purpose of education and enforcement. Somebody's wearing something that we know isn't allowed. We take them to the front. We say, here's an item you can buy it, turn around, go back into the pool. I think, we've talked about that a little bit. I'd like to see that done. I'd like to see some products sold. If our cost is $20, we sell it for $20, but we have the public, the ability for the public to buy it on site. So I would like to see some education, enforcement, of course, and, take the steps. I would like not to see, a ban on anything, because we're going to come back here in 3 weeks or a month and ban something else, and we're going to ban something else, because we're going to need a list of 1,000 things that aren't allowed in order for staff to understand that this is not permitted in here. It says you can't wear coveralls, I'm sorry, because we've itemized that. I don't want to get so pinpointed. So I'd ask that, staff be educated a little bit better on what is permitted and what is not, so we don't have to revisit this for months in the future. Otherwise, my recommendation next is to close the pool down for 6 months or a year, save the money and spend it on something else. And I don't want to go there, but it shouldn't be a topic in the community, so.
CAO Legore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, with due respect, staff are enforcing the policy. Yes, we may have some issues with interpretation of the policy. Those are being addressed. We have stepped up enforcement, and we will continue to enforce the policy as it's currently laid out. And if we are not enforcing the policy, there's still issues with it, then let's revisit our policy. But I have to defend staff. They are doing their best efforts. We need to have patience. This is new, and they are doing their best. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you, through the chair, to our interim CAO. With that being said, I would like to withdraw my motion, and let's revisit it if we need to in 3 months, if that so pleases the rest of council.
CAO Legore.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, you can't withdraw a motion once it's on the table. It belongs to the table at that point. You have to vote on it and either defeat it or carry the motion, and it can be brought back at any time. Or you can table it to a future date, too.
Okay. So this motion is being tabled. So it's been moved by Councillor Johnson that the motion be tabled. Okay,
You need to take the vote.
and all in favor? Opposed? Okay, one. Okay,
we make one more comment? We saw a picture the other day, through the chair to staff. We did see a picture the other day on a brochure. That pretty much covered everything that would be acceptable in our pool. And picture is like 1,000 words. Like you look at a picture, it looks like the right thing. That might help them along a little bit. If you blew that picture up and had it at the beginning where everybody comes into the swimming pool, and maybe near the change rooms as well. The only thing that lacked on there was the bikinis that some of the people wear, because that's an acceptable swimming attire as well. Sorry? Oh, is it? I'm so sorry. A little one, because I didn't see it when I was in there. Sorry.
CAO Legore.
Mr. Mayor, just a side comment, as reference to pictures being taken at the pool. We should remind the public that they do not have permission to take, or should not take people's pictures unless they have their specific permission. If they do so, it's illegal. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. So unless there's any other comments, which there shouldn't be, we'll move on to the next item. Healthcare Home Co-Ownership Agreement, and that will be Director of Planning and Community Development, Director Tiffin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Through you to council. Through direction from council, staff has drafted a formal intermunicipal agreement that will address the ownership, management, cost sharing, and disposition of the newly acquired healthcare home. So the attached agreement has been reviewed by county administration for edits and comments, and they are ready to proceed with execution of the agreement. So at this time, staff is recommending that council enter into a co-ownership agreement with the County of Newell for the property located at Lot 67, Block 8, Plan 081-4309. And if there are any questions regarding the agreement, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Councillor Phillipson.
Through the chair to Director Tiffin. I'm going to do it right this time. I'm going to assume that this agreement was checked by a lawyer.
Yes, through the chair to Councillor Phillipson, it was written by a lawyer and then reviewed by administration.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Falkenberg that council enter into a co-ownership agreement with the County of Newell for the property located at 323 20th Street East, Plan 0814309, Block 8, Lot 67. All those in favor? Carried. We have a few bylaws. The first bylaw is 26-023, Fire Service Fees Bylaw. And we have Fire Chief. Congratulations to our new Fire Chief too, by the way. Many people might not know that you are the new Fire Chief, Barry Yokoyama.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Your Worship and councillors. In 2023, fire service fees were updated to align with the County of Newell and Alberta transportation rates. The province increases rates each year on April the 1st, and the bylaw is amended annually to reflect those changes. So the rates for 2026-27 have been increased and are reflected in the attached bylaw. So the rates for engines, pumpers, rescue units, brush buggies, rapid response units, the tenders, and mobile water supply units are increased from $740 per unit per hour to $760 per unit per hour. And command units are increasing from $215 per unit per hour to $225 per unit per hour. So there may be an increase in revenue when invoicing for fire services rendered, and administration recommends that the council provide 3 readings and adopt bylaw 26-023. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Fire Chief Barry. And I'll read the motion for the first time, and after the second time, you can ask questions. So it's been moved by Councillor Phillipson that bylaw number 26-023, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta, to amend bylaw number 23-05, being a bylaw to establish rates to be charged in relation to fire prevention, inspection, suppression, and rescue services, be introduced and read a first time. All those in favor? Carried. It's been moved by Councillor Regner that bylaw number 26-023 be read a second time. Are there any questions? Councillor Falkenberg.
Through the chair to Barry, I have no questions. I'm just welcoming you to the stage and congratulations on the new position.
Thank you, Councillor Falkenberg. I really appreciate it.
Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. Through the chair to, can we call you Chief Barry? Chief Barry, I just had a quick question on these fees. Who typically pays these fees? Is it usually insurance companies, or how are they billed out?
Yeah, typically when we do a requisition, we send it to the person that their insurance company usually covers that. And if it's at fault of the person involved and the insurance company doesn't cover it, then it will go probably to the owner.
I'm just, on Friday, it was probably a calamity for the fire department, going all directions. So when there is major issues like that on Highway 1, for example, who pays that bill?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Johnson, when we were so busy Friday. Can you tell I didn't get much sleep? But anyways, when instances happen with that, we tend to get all the information that we can from the vehicles involved. And the vehicle that was at fault, we usually send, if it's on a major roadway, we usually send it to Alberta Transportation, and then they look after the charges.
Okay, thank you very much. And Councillor Regner?
Again, congratulations. I know I did on the phone, said it on the phone the other day as well, but I'll second it again. These rates that are on here, are these like kind of the norm rates, or are these like how are we only going up $20? Is that's it seems very minimal for the length of time it's been set prior.
Through the chair to Councillor Regner, thanks again for your question. A lot of the times we also go with the County of Newell and the Alberta Transportation rates. So we're right in the ballpark with what anybody else would probably charge on a incidents. And so we're right in the ballpark, so we're not trying to make a huge amount of money. We just need to offset things like repairs on any apparatus that we have and that kind of thing. Thank you.
Any other? Councillor Idris?
Thank you for the report. And we have moved last time, as you said, just as you alluded in your brief, that we have decided to align with the province and the county. So I'm in support of this, and I'm asking legislatively, will it be easier to make Schedule A something that gets updated whenever there is an update without a need for new bylaws, or do we have to do the bylaws? Maybe we do it this year, but going forward, is it easier to just do it without a bylaw to update?
Through the chair to Councillor, just usually it's always gone through a new bylaw every time this comes up, and it's just to follow the way the province is run, and it's usually the proper way to go. Thank you.
Any other further questions? Okay. Seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Regner that bylaw number 26-023 be read a second time. All those in favor? Okay. The third reading, it has to be carried unanimously or defeated. So it's been moved by Councillor Idris that bylaw number 26-023 be given 3 readings at this meeting. All those in favor? It has been carried unanimously. Moved by Councillor Nesbitt that bylaw number 26-023, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to amend bylaw number 23-05, being a bylaw to establish rates to be charged in relation to fire prevention, inspection, suppression, and rescue services, be read a third time and adopted. All those in favor? Carried. We will move on to bylaw 26-026, collection of fees for criminal records checks, check bylaw amendment, and that will be the Director of Recreation and Protective Services, Mr. Shantz.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council, before you is a request for decision regarding a collection of fees and criminal records check bylaw. So the current bylaw established in 2008 authorizes an employee of the City of Brooks or the Brooks RCMP detachment to collect a fee on behalf of the city for conducting a criminal records check. This allows record checks to be collected, the fee to be collected for record checks for City of Brooks residents only. Through resolution in 2008, council set a fee of $50 for criminal record checks, a rate that has remained unchanged. Non-residents that request a criminal record check through the City of Brooks are not charged a fee under the current bylaw. The current bylaw makes no note of civil fingerprint services, which are also performed without a municipal fee being collected. It's of note when a civil fingerprint services are required for criminal record checks, the federal government charges a $25 fee, which is collected through the municipality. Table 1 in your package shows the current regional comparison of fees for criminal record checks and fingerprint services. So discussion options for council's consideration is the proposed bylaw would include insertion of civil fingerprint services to the title in all areas to indicate that fees would be collected for those services provided, include civil fingerprint services definition and change any person who resides in the City of Brooks to any person. In conjunction with the proposed bylaw, the below fee schedule increases are options for resolution by council. So option 1 for resolution would be to make no adjustment to the fees for criminal record checks and civil fingerprinting services provided through the Brooks RCMP detachment. Option 2 would be to increase the fees for criminal record checks and civil fingerprint services provided through the Brooks RCMP detachment as follows below, which would be a 20% fee increase for criminal record checks for residents, introducing a $60 criminal record check fee for non-residents to match the fees recommended for the residents, 20% fee increase for unpaid practicum students, and to introduce a $60 municipal fee for civil fingerprint services, which would include the $25 federal fee. Table 2 has the proposed options for fee structures for the records checks. Financial implications, so in Table 3 you can see what a 20% gain would have looked like over the last 2 years for the criminal record checks. And then over the last 2 years, it also has the numbers of free criminal record checks for non-residents, volunteers, and civil fingerprint services that the municipality has provided. So the recommendation, administration recommends the council gives 3 readings to bylaw 26026, and further, the council by resolution approves fee structure option 2 for criminal record checks and civil fingerprinting services provided by the City of Brooks RCMP detachment. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Director Shantz. Are there any questions? Councillor Falkenberg.
Through the chair to Director Shantz, I just want to confirm that volunteer criminal record checks will still remain at $0.
Through the chair to Councillor Falkenberg, that is correct. Volunteers will not pay for their criminal record checks.
Councillor Nesbitt.
I would, thank you. Through the chair to the Director Shantz, I would just like to comment that the reason we left the volunteers or wanted it to be 0 was because our different organizations find it difficult to get board members sometimes, and our volunteers are very important to our community. So by that, we feel that we did not want to charge a fee. And that's, thank you for following through on our recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, so it's been moved by Councillor Johnson that bylaw number 26-026, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta, provide authorization for collection of fees for criminal record checks and or civil fingerprint services be introduced and read a first time. All those in favor? Carried. It's been moved by Councillor Falkenberg that bylaw number 26-026 be read a second time. Are there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. It's been moved by Councillor Regner that bylaw number 26-026 be given 3 readings at this meeting, and it must be carried unanimously. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. It's been moved by Councillor Phillipson that bylaw number 26-026, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to provide authorization for collection of fees for criminal records checks and/or civil fingerprint services, be read a third time and adopted. All those in favor? Carried. And it's been moved by Councillor Idris. The council approve option number 2, fee structure, $60 fee for resident employment, unpaid practicum student, non-residents, and fingerprinting services, and no fee for volunteers for criminal record checks and civil fingerprinting services provided by the City of Brooks RCMP detachment. All those in favor? Carried. We'll move on to bylaw 26-027. It's an amendment to the land use bylaw, and that will be the senior planner, Gavin Scott, probably along with Director Tiffin having a say. Go for it, Gavin.
Yep. Thank you. Through the chair of the Mayor and Council, we have for your consideration this evening bylaw 26-027, being an amending bylaw to bylaw 1412, which is the land use bylaw. This proposal is to introduce the use of data center into the land use bylaw. The data center is defined as a development that houses computer equipment as a principal use. It is proposed to be introduced into the industrial districts of the community. Within your proposed bylaw amendment, you'll find that there are development criteria that have been set up for this use. The data center development criteria include application requirements, as well as additional requirements that mitigate sound and provide for safety. This evening's recommendation is to pass first reading, as well as set a public hearing date of May 25th.
Thank you very much. Mr. Scott, are there any questions? I can read it. Moved by Councillor Phillips in the bylaw number 26-027, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to amend bylaw number 14-12, being a land use bylaw, be introduced and read a first time. All those in favor? Carried. And it's been moved by Councillor Falkenberg that a public hearing be held on May 25th, 2026 to gather public input regarding bylaw number 26-027. All those in favor? Carried. And there's a motion to move in camera, and it's been moved by Councillor Falkenberg that council close the meeting to the public for agenda item number 9A, land matter as per section 19 of the ATIA at 6:07.